Have you ever heard about the Golden Triangle? This term, brimming with intrigue and danger, is not referring to a mathematical concept or a tourist trail, but a notorious region in Southeast Asia. Known for its role in the global drug trade, the Golden Triangle is a unique, triangle-shaped area that includes parts of Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. This region has gained notoriety for its extensive cultivation and trafficking of opium, heroin, and other narcotics that have had a profound impact globally. Yet, beyond the headlines and the crime reports, the Golden Triangle is more than just a hub for illicit trade. It's a region with a complex history, shaped by centuries of geopolitics, economics, and social dynamics. It's a story of survival, exploitation, and resilience against a backdrop of conflict and change. Now, let's delve into the complex history of the Golden Triangle. The roots of the Golden Triangle's involvement in the drug trade stretch back centuries. The story begins with the humble opium poppy, a plant that has been cultivated in this region since time immemorial. Initially, the opium poppy was revered for its medicinal and ceremonial uses. Yet, as we'll discover, its fate was irrevocably altered by the arrival of colonial powers in the 19th century. Let's take a step back to the era of opulent colonial mansions, bustling trade ports, and the steady hum of empire building. European powers, particularly the British, cast their eyes on Southeast Asia, a region rich in resources and strategic potential. And with their arrival, the opium poppy underwent a transformation from a plant of traditional significance to a tool of economic exploitation and political maneuvering. The British, who were in control of India and Burma, now Myanmar, established opium monopolies as part of their colonial enterprise. They saw in opium a lucrative trade commodity, one that could fuel their imperial ambitions. Opium was cultivated on a massive scale, processed and shipped to China, where demand was high and addiction was becoming a widespread problem. The opium trade was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it filled the coffers of the colonial powers and local elites. On the other hand, it devastated the lives of countless individuals who fell prey to addiction and the social and economic hardship that came with it. In the shadows of grand colonial edifices, the opium poppy fields of the Golden Triangle flourished. The region was slowly but surely becoming a pivotal player in the global opium trade, a role it would continue to play well into the 20th century and beyond. The seeds of the Golden Triangle's notoriety were sown during this time. The opium trade, once a trickle, turned into a torrent, forever changing the landscape of this region. This set the stage for the Golden Triangle's later involvement in the global drug trade. Following decolonization, the Golden Triangle entered a new, darker phase in its history. The mid-20th century marked a period of political turbulence, ethnic clashes, and fragile governance. These conditions created the perfect storm for the birth of narco-states, territories where drug production and trafficking became so deeply rooted that it shaped their very identity and function. In the heart of this storm, Myanmar was grappling with the breakdown of central authority and the rise of various ethnic insurgent groups. This chaos became a fertile breeding ground for the opium trade. The infamous drug lord Kun Sa, or the Opium King as he was known, exploited this turmoil to construct an imposing drug empire. With an iron grip, he controlled vast territories within the Golden Triangle, making him a formidable figure in the global drug trade. Parallel to this, Laos and Thailand were witnessing their own struggle. Ethnic minority groups such as the Hmong and Akha people found themselves cornered into opium cultivation. Struggling with poverty and marginalization, these communities became entangled in the drug trade as a means of survival. They were caught in a dangerous crossfire between government crackdowns and the relentless demands of international drug cartels. The Golden Triangle, with its lush landscapes and intricate cultural tapestry, was now caught in a web of illicit drug trade. From the shadows of political instability and societal conflicts, narco-states had emerged, challenging the very fabric of these societies. The region was no longer just a geographical entity. It had metamorphosed into a symbol of the global narcotics trade. This transformation was not just a local or regional phenomenon, it was a global one, with implications reaching far beyond the borders of Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. As the sun set on these lands, the Golden Triangle had become a hub of the global drug trade, a hub that would continue to pose significant challenges and dilemmas on the international stage in the years to come. The international community, alarmed by the proliferation of narcotics from the Golden Triangle, called for action. As the drug trade in this region continued to flourish, it was clear that something had to be done. Initiatives were launched, alliances were formed, and operations were put into action. One such initiative was Operation Golden Triangle. It was a joint effort between the United States and regional governments aimed at disrupting the flow of drugs from Southeast Asia. The operation had a clear objective: to eradicate illicit drug crops and dismantle trafficking networks. But the path to achieving these goals was not a smooth one. The operation faced numerous obstacles. Not least among them was the complexity of the region itself. The Golden Triangle's rugged terrain, coupled with its political instability, made it a challenging area to penetrate. The efforts, however, were not without their unintended consequences. In the process of trying to wipe out the drug trade, other issues arose. Human rights abuses were reported as local communities were caught in the crossfire. The aggressive eradication of drug crops led to environmental degradation, as forests were cleared and ecosystems disrupted. Furthermore, the displacement of vulnerable communities became a pressing issue. As their traditional livelihoods of opium cultivation were threatened, these communities were often left with no alternative means of survival. This threatened to exacerbate the very poverty and marginalization that had driven them into the drug trade in the first place. Despite these challenges, the international intervention did lead to some successes. Opium cultivation and heroin production in the region saw a significant reduction. This was a testament to the concerted efforts of the international community, proving that change was possible. Yet the story of the Golden Triangle serves as a reminder that addressing such complex issues requires a nuanced and multifaceted approach. It underscores the importance of not just tackling the symptoms, but also addressing the root causes. Despite these challenges, some successes were achieved in reducing opium cultivation and heroin production in the region. Yet, the journey to completely eradicate the drug trade from the Golden Triangle is far from over. Today, the Golden Triangle continues to pose significant challenges. Despite international efforts, the illicit drug trade remains a deeply entrenched issue. Drug production and trafficking persist, driven by a complex interplay of economic necessity, political instability, and the relentless demand for narcotics. In the heart of the Golden Triangle, opium cultivation and heroin production are still major sources of income for many communities. The rugged terrain and relative lawlessness make it an ideal environment for these illicit activities. The profits from the drug trade, often far exceeding what could be earned from legal crops, provide a lifeline for communities grappling with poverty and marginalization. But this economic lifeline comes at a heavy cost. Drug addiction is rampant, tearing apart families and communities. The social fabric of these areas is strained, and the rule of law is often a distant notion. Drug lords and traffickers wield significant power, often operating with impunity and perpetuating a cycle of violence and corruption. The political landscape is also heavily affected. The drug trade fuels conflict and instability, as various factions vie for control of lucrative trafficking routes and production areas. Governments struggle to assert their authority, and their efforts to eradicate illicit crops and dismantle trafficking networks are often met with fierce resistance. On a broader scale, the Golden Triangle plays a significant role in the global drug trade, supplying a substantial portion of the world's opium and heroin. This impacts not only the region, but also countries around the globe, from the streets of North America and Europe to the farthest corners of Asia. Efforts to address these challenges are ongoing, but they face numerous obstacles. From alternative development programs aimed at providing farmers with other means of livelihood, to law enforcement initiatives targeting traffickers and drug lords, the struggle against the illicit drug trade is a complex and multifaceted endeavor. The Golden Triangle, a region marked by its complex history and ongoing challenges, continues to shape the global narrative on the illicit drug trade. The Golden Triangle's history is a tale of geopolitics, economics, and social dynamics. From its roots in the ancient opium trade, this region has been a focal point of global intrigue, shifting power dynamics and the relentless pursuit of profit. The colonial era saw the institutionalization of the opium trade, which later evolved into a complex network of narco-states in the post-colonial period. These narco-states, fueled by political instability and economic desperation, gave rise to infamous figures like the Opium King and entrenched the drug trade in the fabric of the region. International interventions, while well-intentioned, have often resulted in unintended consequences, further complicating the situation. Yet amidst these challenges, there have been successes, shining a light on potential paths towards resolution. As we've seen, the Golden Triangle is more than just a geographical region. It's a complex network of historical and contemporary forces that continue to shape our world today.